Welcome to Roll, Ponder, and Play, a podcast dedicated to crafting stories through the application of role-playing game engines, combined with creative thinking and propelled into the ether by the barest of prompts. I'm Jared Hess, taking on all the roles of Game Master, solo player, author, and narrator. Come with me on a journey, and together let us explore realms of shadow, danger, and wonder. One roll can decide the fate of many things.
Welcome back to Shadow of the Demon, Episode 3. In our previous episode, back at the inn in Renchant's room, Renchant and Tatyana enjoy an evening together. Renchant gets his massage and tries to seduce the young woman. He offers her a job to come with him to the south and for her to become his apprentice. He succeeds in convincing her, but she turns the tables on him. She recognizes her prospects are small in this town filled with refugees and with war on the horizon and many uncertainties. She believes a connection with the handsome Renchant is actually for the best, but on her terms. She says she'll come only on one condition, if there's a promise of marriage. Marriage was not in Renchant's deck of cards, yet she somehow manages to wrangle an engagement out of the half-drunk mage. She also reveals that her father is an estranged knight of the realm, Sir Collin Bolstead. And as the frantic mage wonders what has just happened, she makes him promise her that he won't run away in the middle of the night, that they are engaged after all. Let us find out what befalls of Master Renchant, mage and hero. Has he met his greatest threat yet? Or found his dearest treasure in the form of Tatyana, or Tatanya? And now, on to Episode 3 of Adventure 4 of Shadow of the Demon. Later that night, do the guards show up to investigate the bodies in the alleyway? I think there's a 50-50 chance, but on a roll of a 5 I get a no. But someone living there has heard the commotion and is raising a cry. Do the guards come and investigate at the inn? I think it's somewhat likely, and I get a yes. Did anyone see Renchant's involvement? 50-50 chance? I get a no. Is Renchant questioned? 50-50 chance? I get a no. With Renchant's innate noblesse oblige, the guardsmen were loath to question such an important figure with his fine clothes and riches, and so they did not interrupt his sleep. He heard little of the commotion through his wine-fogged Tatanya-laced dreams anyway. The next morning. It took a while for the wine to wear off, and in the morning hours, before his keen intellect had kicked into high gear, he wondered if he had perhaps imagined the entire night. The lovely Tatyana, his engagement, it seemed ridiculous in hindsight. Surely he could not have been so foolish as to actually get engaged to someone while drunk. Yet the scimitar and crossbow collected by Tatyana leaned against the fireplace. They brought the reality crashing back. They would implicate him in last night's events. But that hardly seemed important when compared with the earth-shattering reality that he had in truth become engaged. Him engaged. A little flutter of anxiety coursed through him. When would she be here? Maybe he should leave before she arrives. He glanced out the window, the cold, the snow blowing fitfully about. No, he could wait, he decided. Besides, if he left, he wouldn't see her again. He went to the gilded mirror, splashed water on his face, and smoothed his beard. Then he turned sideways to examine his fine figure. He tilted his head to the side slightly, turning up his lips and narrowing his eyes. The action firmed his nose and jaw. He thought himself rather debonair. The knock on the door startled him. It was her. He leapt to the door and threw it open. leaned against the doorframe, his winsome smile beaming into the hallway.
"Congratulations, sir." The innkeep stood before him and pumped his hand. "Let me be the first to congratulate you. Tatanya has told us all so much about you. While I'm sorry to see her leave, she's been an absolute dear, you see. I know you'll make her very happy."
What is this about? Renchant felt he was losing his equilibrium again, and he had had only one goblet of wine this morning. Now, for the first time, he sensed a festive air in the place. Hot smells of baked sweetbread wafted up from below, and he heard squeals of joy. Squeals.
"Well, the honorary breakfast following the official betrothal, of course. The priest and the documents of writ are below, as are your companions. All is ready for the signing."
Wait, a betrothal? Signing?
You know,
Yes, never mind. I understand. His mouth twisted downward slightly. He remembered now. He had rolled a 19 on his intelligence check and succeeded. Dusty legal volumes weren't his forte, but he did like to read, and sometimes you couldn't be picky. The betrothal wasn't the official marriage, but it was very near it from a legal standpoint. There were ways out of it, of course. With the proper lawyers and funds, it protected the interests of both parties. Tatyana has been busy, I see, Renchant added.
"Oh, you have no idea, sir. I don't think she slept nary a wink with her telling us all the happy news, and with all the cooking, oh my, we spared no expense. Tatanya assures me you're good for it."
The statement had the feel of a question, and a bead of sweat trickled down the innkeep's face. "Oh, of course," Renchant said, and waved a hand airily as he gave a courtly bow. Let me grab my things. I'll be down in a few moments."
"Well, of course. We'll all be below."
The innkeeper left. He could still run. He didn't have to sign anything. He knew a spell that could bend light about him, make him invisible, and he could slip out. Simple as that. He was master of his own fate, not a slave to the dictates of society and the whims of some pretty girl. He went to the window and stared out into the snow-filled courtyard below. Then he pulled up the sash and felt the bracing air hit him. He wouldn't bump into people if he left through the window. But stars, it was cold out. It had snowed hard all night, and the drifts had piled up the snow on walls and fences and sides of homes. Wind blew the flurries about. The wind seemed so free. Stay or go? That was the question. He would be married to a woman, and not to his magic. Could he really do that? Renchant? He spun. How long had he been standing there? How long had she been standing there? She stood in the doorway, her dark hair brushed until it shone in light of the hallway window. She looked radiant and stunning, in a green gown with silver scrollwork that complemented her figure. "Why is the window open?" Just getting a bit of fresh air. Don't you find it a bit stifling?" "Hardly," she said, holding her arms and shivering. "It's an ice box up here, Renchant. How long have you had it open?" He ignored that and kept it open. He leaned against the windowsill and pulled at his beard, studying her. The wind at his back felt cold, but he ignored it. His dark eyes studied hers, narrowing. He was not going to be bullied or rushed into this. He had faced down far worse things than a lovely girl. "The innkeep says you have priests and lawyers below." "I do," she smiled. "Everything is ready for the signing. And your friends are below too. You wouldn't believe how stunned they all are." She gave a brief chuckle. "Oh, I think I can imagine," he said dryly. "I can hear them now, the unapproachable Renchant finally tied down. You do know what people call marriage, don't you? The ball and chain. Are you sure you want that? Of course not, she said, firming her lips. How dare you even ask that? As if it's some foregone conclusion. Isn't it? No, it is not, and you know it. Surely we have a say in the matter. Do we? We'll grow old and flabby and gray, and all the mystery and love will bleed out with the sands in the hourglass, he muttered and flicked at a speck of dust on his robes. You know this? She whispered. Oh, I've seen it, my dear, time and time again in every crusty couple who incessantly harps at each other. It's like they can't wait for the other to die to have a moment of peace, but then fear the moment, for then who else would they torment? You have a very sad outlook on life, she said. I have a realistic outlook on life. No, you have a jaded outlook on life, and you have no imagination for what might be. No imagination. I tell you, girl, I've imagined up things you couldn't possibly begin to Oh, yes, I know all about your magic and your ability to comprehend things beyond mere mortals like myself. Her hands flew about. When she grew animated, he noticed. They seemed to dart about like small birds cutting through the air in swift flight. I never said you were a mere mortal, and you could scarcely talk about anything else last night. Her hands were on her hips now, and then folded across her breast, and then she was stalking into the room, her finger pointed at him. Magic this, magic that, magic me, magic, ooh, wow. Well, it is all I am, he said, wanting to take a step back, but he had a wall and a window to his rear. No, it is not. What is your full name? What? Your full name. Renchant Pel Nil, he said proudly. I thought I told you that. You did, but apparently you need to hear yourself say it again. It means born of the Nil family, am I right? That is not very common knowledge. Where did you... I read and I'd learn. She locked her eyes with his and thumped a finger into his chest. Though she stood a head shorter than he, the fire in her eyes made him wish he could step back just a few paces. Just because I've had to work as a serving girl does not mean I cannot think, read, nor reason. No, obviously not. And what did you reason out? He asked. He felt himself again strangely attracted to this fiery, intelligent creature. That you were born into this world. Ah, how astute. Don't look at me like that. You don't seem to believe it. You think you were cut out of some magical fabric and fell from the heavens like some blessed star to shed your all-consuming light of knowledge about magic lore upon the rest of us. But you are a flesh and blood-breathing man, she said. Yes, and? And because you have studied magic, you think that life is all you are and will ever be. It's absurd. And it's sad. It's true. No, it isn't, she stamped her foot. You were born into the Nil family. You were a babe first, and you didn't start burping magic sparks while you were at your mother's breast, did you? The image made him smile. Burping sparks? What do you come up with? You were a boy. You grew up and played with other boys. You put a toad in your sister's bed and teased her mercilessly. Is she right? 50-50 chance. Yes. Wait, how did you know that? The point is, you were normal, like everyone else, Renchant, and you later chose to study magic. Obviously, and I'm proud of it. I know you are, but it means you can choose. What are you getting at, girl? That, logically, you still have the power to choose. And you can choose something other than magic. I'm not sure I can, he muttered. Oh, don't limit yourself. Are you really going to be that two-dimensional? Don't you see the magic in a beautiful sunrise? A sunset clothed in reds and oranges? There is beauty and magic and wonder in the world even without the flashy sparks and the funny words. He felt the truth in her words. Looking at her, the magic he felt last night grew inside him again. But even so, he couldn't help feeling a bit defensive. Fine, so I can choose things, he waved his hand airily. What are you getting at? Will you choose to live a full life with me? A full life. What does that even mean? Bouncing babies on my knees? Girl, I do not think I would make a good father. Again, no imagination. How do you know? My father was not the best role model. He scowled, remembering his father's heavy-handed approach to raising children. Renchant had found a measure of safety and security cowering under his bed many a night. And you are trapped, is it? Your father cast some magic spell on you, and you have no choice to be something other than what he was? No, it wasn't that. It was just... What was it? He had blocked the memories out for so long, had buried them under the long years of magical study, and not wanting to remember. Think it. Imagine it. Live it. Her hands counted to 3 in front of his face with each phrase. That's how things get done. What? You want to have a happy marriage? Her mind darted about like a hummingbird in flight. Was it just her mind, or did all women do this? I want to be happy, he said. Are you happy? I think so, yes. Your magic makes you happy? It intrigues me, challenges me. When I learn a new spell and can wield its power, I feel alive in ways I've never felt before. So, yes, I am happy. I think you don't know what happiness is. And you do? I think I know where to find it. As my apprentice, my consort, he smiled down at her. She gave him an answering smile, and she slipped her hand into his. You said all couples turned crusty and old and basically hated each other. Seems that way to me. I find that to be a rather large generalization, she said, looking up at him. Oh? I've seen couples grow together into a unity so stunning it takes your breath away. And I'm not talking about the act of love-making. Intrigued, he held her hand and looked down at her perfect face. The wind gusted past them, and a few strands of dark hair pulled free of the intricate braid. She didn't seem to notice. She stared past him out the window, her eyes unfocused, and she spoke quietly. My mother and my father, they adored each other. They loved to be around each other. Every waking moment together was a joy to them. They had other interests, of course, but they lived for each other. And that is the secret. The secret to what? To a happy marriage. But more than that, the secret to a happy life. Why are you telling me this? Because you didn't seem to know it. You seem to be chasing after it in moldy books and tomes and subterranean chasms when it is right in front of you. My magic is real, Tatyana. You saw it last night. It is real power. It's that power that saved us. Yes, I know. But is it real happiness? He blinked. Who knows? We wouldn't be having this conversation without it. That's something to be happy about. In any case, philosophers have debated much what happiness is and where it comes from. Some say it's from wealth, some say it's from ease and luxury, some from power. What did you yearn for when you were a child, when your father beat you? I never said my father... You didn't have to. I saw the pain in your eyes. stars, but she was perceptive. What had he yearned for? He swallowed, and the memory took him. Father slamming him against the wall, the fists slamming into him, Father looming over him, the wine thick on his breath. He remembered tasting blood and tears that pooled in the back of his throat. He remembered feeling afraid to his core. Renchant's voice grew distant, a mere whisper that mixed with the wind. I wanted him to hold me, like the other fathers did, to be proud of me. That's why I tried so hard in my magic. I wanted him to appreciate me, to want me, to love me. Renchant swallowed, and he felt her squeeze his hand. Did he? 50-50 chance. I get a no. He shook his head and cleared his throat. No, when I was 15, I finally had had enough. It had gone on for years, him beating Mother and me, when he would come in at night in some drunken stupor stinking of filth. But that year I discovered the power to stand up to him. The well of power I now willed became a possibility to me. Renchant remembered how the spell came to his mind. The words of fire, mystic flames surrounding his hands, Father grabbing him, Renchant screaming in defiance, the flames flaring up. Father had staggered back, cursing, his arms a tunic aflame. I cast my first spell that night, Renchant whispered. The look on Father's face was not one of pride nor of love, but of shock, pain, betrayal, like he couldn't believe his own son would do something like that to him. I'm sorry, she said, and she leaned closer, and he felt glad for her comforting warmth. There was no acceptance, Tatanya. There was no love, only fear. He remembered Father shrinking away from him, as if Renchant had sprouted a score of horns and 100 tentacles. The same fear I felt when he stood over my bed each night, he felt towards me. I tried to tell him I didn't mean to hurt him, but it was too late. That fear drove him away. He never came back. He couldn't help but feel the sting of irony at those events. He felt a warm tear begin to freeze on his cheek. Philosophers don't know everything, Tatanya finally said. Love and happiness are intermixed. There is no happiness without love. And I'm not talking about physical attraction, but love, true self-sacrificing love and commitment. That's what my mother and father shared. That's what you desired from your father. And that's what you and I can have. He stared at her, his mouth parted slightly. She looked back, serious, but with a hint of a smile. You'd offer that to me? He whispered, and he couldn't hide the disbelief in his voice. He had only met her the night before. Yet he had bared his soul to her. He had told her things he had never told anyone before. In answer, she cupped his face with hands that had begun to chill, and kissed him gently. The expression of love bore no heat of passion, but the depth of devotion it contained startled him. He enfolded her in his arms, and pulled her close, breathing in her scent, and felt a sweet silence about them, even though the wind at his back swirled mocking flurries into the room. A protectiveness for her blossomed within him, a new flame that mingled with his thrill for magic. After some time, he pulled away. "Let's go downstairs," he said, as he shut the window and latched out the colt. Thank you for joining us, and I sincerely hope you enjoyed what you experienced. If you would like to support Roll, Ponder, and Play, you can do so in a number of ways. You can give the show a positive review on your podcatcher of choice. You can share the show with your friends and family and on your socials. Nothing beats word of mouth as a way to bring in new listeners. You can join my Patreon at patreon.com/Roll, Ponder, and Play. There you can find show notes and transcripts, as well as other projects I'm involved in. And paid subscribers get access to subscriber-only episodes, shows, and other content. Finally, you can simply reach out to me and say hello. Comments from you are what inspire me to keep doing this, and I'd sincerely love to hear what you think of the show. To do so, you can find me on my Patreon, or on Discord at Roll, Ponder, and Play, or by email at rollponderandplay@gmail.com. Until we meet again on Roll, Ponder, and Play, may your own dice rolls ever bring you success.